UFC sent Jim San Bruno to 24 Hour Fitness in California Street, and I had Adisa take my spot at UFC Jim San Bruno. And
you guys are just sharing. I love that.
Yeah, we're
That's
just like
cool.
coming back and forth and sharing.
Synergies.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so he would always say, there's this gym in South City. I think they want to start a program. You should check it out. They got some mats downstairs, whatever. And I was like, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that
at
took
some point,
years because
whatever.
we were here and we heard, we want to get this person to come in.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
And we want to start judo again.
Yeah, it did.
That was a long time coming.
It was, it was like, when he mentioned that, it was like a couple years had passed. And I started working at 24 Hour Fitness, and I was getting burnt out, and I could only teach fitness. I couldn't teach jiu-jitsu, and I could barely train jiu-jitsu at the time, too. So I was
Why barely? I mean...
Because I was working
'cause
6 a.m. to
I thought they were not letting you do that.
It was just... And my commutes were long. Like, I would commute from Burlingame to California Street, which is the 24 Hour Fitness that I worked at, and I have a 6 a.m. client. And no car. And so
no car. That's
and I'd be there till 8 p.m. at night and just training people all day. I'd just be burnt out and exhausted. I don't remember.
The days just went together.
Was there a time when I slept? No.
How long did you do that for?
I worked for them for a year.
Your health must have been.
It was, and I actually competed in my first bodybuilding show during that time too.
You were bodybuilding at the same time?
Mm-hmm. So it was just like...
So in between clients, you were just...
Yep. Like I would have like a morning block, lunch block.
We got to see pictures for proof because I don't believe you.
And then...
we're going to post them up too, so you need to send it to me.
And then I would have a...
you sound horrible when you...
And I would do my evening block afterwards.
Well, no, because that's crazy. I would have
How
never...
long's a block?
We never knew about this. This is not in your biopics.
Yeah, the hardships of Von Stricklen.
Oh, snap. I have a meeting at 12. So we're going to have to get this in like 20 minutes. I totally forgot. But anyways.
Folks, I want you to know
this is how we operate.
Yeah. When we came in here today, we saw her. We said, hey, you want to be on the show today now? After a year. After 10 months. He goes, I'm available.
Where's your meeting?
It's online. But
it's online. Okay. Are you going to have it here?
I have to go back to my work.
Wow, look at you. God, your abs. Holy crap. I mean...
Abs are made
That's
in
what
the kitchen.
happens when you...
That's crazy.
I have more photos. Where is it?
Sorry, folks. Bear with us for a moment because apparently he's enthralled in what's going on over there.
So here.
Wow, look at you.
I got second place.
Oh, nice.
That's impressive.
Runway.
Wait, that's part of bodybuilding that you got to...
So this bodybuilding event is called the WBFF, and then they have two categories. They have the physique category where you wear the bikinis, and their bikinis are very lavish. So girls will have all types of decoration and lace and a bunch of like...
So it's not the typical bodybuilding.
No, and then they'll do a fashion segment afterwards. So for the fitness category, I was doing, it was more... carnival style, so costumes, and then like bikini category, they would do evening gowns, so like Miss USA. So it's I love that competition because you get to like really be girly. It's completely opposite from martial arts.
I was gonna say because here you are, Navy nerd, BJJ, fashion show.
Bodybuilder, fashion show.
Oh, I'm sorry, bodybuilder. Fashion show. What was that like a huge paradigm shift for you? Were you like, was that out of your element? Were you uncomfortable?
That was like.
And how'd you get talked into it?
I didn't get talked into it.
No, she made that decision on her own.
I did.
Wow, that's just crazy.
So
all of that.
Here's kind of my journey. I know we want to go through. I don't even know if we're gonna get to talking about what we're gonna talk about, but.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about.
This is it.
I feel like when. I'll talk about what we were talking, the TLC in a minute, but
cool.
There's a growth, I feel like, in every martial artist journey where you have to leave the nest. Eventually, there's like this part where as a coach, you really are a parent through that person's journey.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to be like, now it's your time to fly.
Yeah, we've been trying to throw him out of the nest for like 7 years now.
And you don't want to go. Yeah, I was a teenager. It's like, I don't want to go. And my coach, his name is Darren Yanayama. He coaches professional fighters. And he's very also, you think I'm split, he's very split too. At the time he had his gym in Daly City, FTCC, and then he was also coaching his fighters out of CSA in Pleasanton. And so he would commute back and forth, and then sometimes he'd be coaching us, sometimes he'd be coaching them, sometimes he'd be flying all around the world for these UFC fights or different organizations he was at. So it was like he
had a wife and kids at home.
And wife and kids at home.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I was just kidding.
And wife and kids at home, yes.
That's
exactly.
crazy.
So it's like split. And I got he promoted me to brown belt. And it's like, your next step is for you to start teaching. And I think part of his capacity, he didn't have the capacity as much to be as I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
to just be there all the time, training
to be
us.
the nurturer.
But then everybody in the gym is like a brown belt and a blue belt, so it's like, why do we need to
why do I
be
really
there?
need you? I got all
You
these
guys
other
can teach yourselves.
Yeah, right.
And so until I started training people and coaching, I didn't really get that. And there was a part of me that was like, I want to learn and become independent and learn how to actually train myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be competitive, and I was having a lot of injuries with my knees and my ankles, and that's how I got into strength training and lifting. And so
Out of necessity
was a big part of it.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to compete, so I was like, okay, what competition would I want to do?
That's not gonna bust your knees.
Exactly. I was like, I don't really want to do CrossFit.
Right.
I don't really see myself as a power lifter right now. Ooh, bodybuilding looks fun, and it's also completely opposite of martial arts because I actually get to be a girl a little bit, So it's like, let's do that. That looks really fun.
Wow.
And I was just looking at different organizations, and I was thinking about doing NPC. And
Which means?
NPC is national. I forgot what NPC stands for, but it's IFBB. It's International Federation of Bodybuilding.
Right.
NPC, I think, is the amateur of that.
I've seen the posters.
Yeah,
That's about it.
NPC competitions, and so I was shopping around for a bunch of different coaches.
Right.
And I ended up I was working in Palo Alto for this tech company at the time, and I go to Equinox Palo Alto, and I'm just like, hey, do you have any coaches that coach bodybuilding? And they're like, yeah, we have this girl, Shanae. She's awesome. And I was like,
wow, that's really selling it.
yeah. And I was like,
Kind
really?
of perky at Equinox.
Yeah, they are. But
Yeah.
is she? But I swear, I attest to my life on Shanae. She's an amazing coach. She changed my life.
Shout out to Shanae.
Shanae. Yeah, exactly. So
Is she perky too? Like,
I have to get into her, and I can't go into that now. It's just
sorry,
like
Shanae.
she
We'll get back to
is,
you.
but she's like, when we talk about her on show day, was a completely different person.
Oh,
but
drill sergeant.
yes, exactly.
Got it.
But it's like coaching is like
Jekyll and
life
Hyde.
coaching. Everything's beautiful.
Oh, you're so
in
great.
touch with
Get
your
your
women
ass
goddess.
in
And then
about
we're like,
5 minutes.
pump it. All right, get your abs tight. I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
I like those people though. I love that.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
She's so sweet and kind, and then
Yeah.
you see her in one line, you're like,
And then they scare the shit out of you.
No,
No,
that was just like the bodybuilding aspect.
but it got you
of
second place.
Yes, yeah,
Well, there
she
you
was
go.
amazing.
It
But she, so when they were like, oh yeah, she's competing in WBFF. I was like, I don't even know what that is. But after talking with her and then checking out the organization, I was like, ooh, this looks a lot more fun. So I ended up doing that organization.
Cool.
And I worked with her for my bodybuilding. Then we did post-competition. And then we did business coaching and life coaching together. And like I said, when I talk about her and she changed my life, she really changed my life inside out.
That's cool.
Wow.
And it helped me learn how to rely on myself for validation versus seeking validation from my coaches.
Or
and
a
I
trophy.
think, or a trophy, exactly. And I think that's what I had to grow from, and that's kind of how I got into the strength training aspect. And I'm still interested in competing in bodybuilding in the future, but right now I'm really focused more on martial arts.
You want the function.
It's more of it's more for self-defense and my story behind why that's so important for me. And to share that with my girls that I have and my students, whether they're male or female.
Right.
I think it's just a critical aspect of your life. And I know you come from it for more of a self-defense aspect, and I'm actually implementing more violence into my self-defense.
Well, I'll tell you
too.
something. When you say we come at it at a more physical, we really don't. Not the way we teach it.
Yeah.
We're a lot different than. I mean, we're very aggressive in what we do, but I always tell my students, we're teaching you to fight so you don't have to fight. So we're not that. I mean, you hear about the martial artists who go out there just so they can fight.
Yeah.
We try to say what we say is we do this because of safety.
Yeah.
Because of the people that we love and the people we care about.
Exactly.
It's not because I just want to go out and fight.
Yeah, and if my girls
it's
want
a
to learn
different
how to
mentality.
fight, I can, obviously I have the channels for them to
do
pursue that path. But on my journey for learning jiu-jitsu, talking about TLC, in the beginning and with the more traditional side of jiu-jitsu, it's so much heavily emphasized on technique, and then traditional technique at that, or textbook technique.
Let's put this in context for everybody, because earlier today we talked about TLC. It's not the tender love and care, but for us it's technical, logical, and critical thinking, right? And when we started talking, we got in a real fascinating conversation. So you take it from there. What will we? Go ahead.
So the technical side, what we're saying is the technique in what you teach. Logical side, for me, I see that as strategy, or logically what you should do, the most advantageous thing that you should do. And then the critical is kind of like the critical. I say them more as like the basics or the fundamentals, the critical skills that you actually need or will work after you've drilled all these things multiple times, that will just come out of you in an actual altercation where you need to utilize self-defense. Now, for me, when I went through my journey, I learned things, and my mindset was more just technical. Like everything is just about technique. And it wasn't until I started working with Darren, I started to learn that logical side, or the strategic side. He always talks more about tactics anytime he talks about fighting. And now I'm starting to expand even more on the critical things that you need to learn for self-defense, because with sport jiu-jitsu, we get really off in the weeds. And I think that's any sport. Any sport, you get off in the weeds. It's like, okay, this is no longer practical.
Because it looks
great,
you
though.
would never do in a real fight. I mean, we get that a lot, and we, and it's not that we're bashing anybody, but a lot of martial arts places, they'll teach you things that you're never ever going to use.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder, why am I learning this? It's like back in high school, right? We're doing history. Why do I need to know history?
Do not repeat it.
Yeah.
Well, in sport jiu-jitsu, they will use it in sports context, right? Because that's how the sport evolved. It evolved for more competitiveness within that sport. But just because you've become an elite jiu-jitsu competitor doesn't mean you've become a competent at self-defense.
Thank you.
Yay, finally. Somebody who yells it out that way, because we get that all the time.
Yeah, we get crap for saying it.
Yeah. And I've learned that because I've competed so much. And then you take me and put me in MMA class, I'm like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
And I have to relearn everything that I've been training for the past decade. So I'm like, now I'm understanding just these basic things again. I'm starting from, and it's a beautiful, it's a frustrating thing, but it's a beautiful thing at the same time. And I'm so grateful for my team at the Resistance, and also my team that I don't want to say I didn't necessarily start off with them, but they're my family team, the FTCC crew, Fight Culture, all of them, who we just continue to invest and support each other.
That's awesome.
Because
are you competing?
I'm not competing right now. I'm just training a lot.
She's training as if she's going to compete.
Exactly. And
I can never be too ready.
But I train for my students. I train for that situation that I'm not prepared for yet.
Right.
And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to adding violence into the mix.
There's that critical sense,
that exactly. I came from a technical background. I came from I want to say pretty jiu-jitsu background. If you don't train for violence, when things get dirty, you freak out.
Oh,
and
you're not supposed to do that. Oh, what the-
exactly,
yeah, that
exactly.
whole.
But I tapped out.
Exactly, and that's not it's very, it can really mess you up, and you can really lose your confidence, you can in your ability to execute, and it's just like I'm just constantly putting myself back in that situation constantly, and I'm obsessed with it because, and yesterday was such a joy. I saw my student Isela, who I've been training for about 6 months now. And her mom told me she's so proud of herself. And I saw in her skill too, how it's just beginning to come out and her confidence is beginning to shine. And she's such a young girl, and
That's a wonderful feeling.
and I want to pass that on to my students because as long as she has the skill, whatever happens, if something bad happens, God forbid, at least she had the skill to defend herself. We can talk about the mental stuff later, and I'm actually working on getting my NLP certification with Shanae Momoko, hopefully when she finishes building her certification at the end of the year. Because the mental side for me is such a huge part of it. I've had to go through a lot of healing in myself, and I see the healing needed in other people who I work with in order for them to just gain that confidence or to continue on with, like, actually making sure that their goals are realized, because a lot of people fall off along
There's
the way.
the Phoenix.
Yeah.
We really need to get you in contact with our last guest, Conrad Bowie, because
you'd love this guy.
He went down a very similar road in reference to the way he teaches. He is certified in NLP, and he is a coach.
Nice.
So he can teach people how to get.
Yeah,
them
this
to-
guy's incredible. Watch his. It's coming up on Sunday. You'll
Nice.
love this episode.
That's
I heard
why
you guys
our
talking while I was walking
previous
around.
guest, seeing as this episode comes after his.
Oh yeah, okay. The
So-
previous guest. Let's put it in right context. Sure. We never pay attention to time
He
frames.
doesn't pay attention.
I
I'm
ignore
the guy
it.
that has to keep him in line.
I ignore everything.
But
I
the
just
point
go.
is that he refers to himself, funny enough, as a nerd as well of martial arts, and he had a similar awakening in the sense that he realized, okay, I can do all this fancy stuff here, but how does that equate to out there when there is no referee, when there is no mats,
no rules.
there is no gi,
Yeah.
and it's just violence. So to hear that, and especially, and not to put too much of a point on it from a woman, because we're big on passing this on, and mostly for women, because unfortunately you kind of are a demographic that's constantly being attacked.
Yeah, even in and out of the ring. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because, I remember when we were growing up in martial arts, there was only like 2 women in our class out of the 40 guys, and that was the norm. And now that the women are starting to make that move and starting to become, I mean, Kelly said it last week that women wrestlers are starting to come out more and more, and you have women in MMA, in UFC, you have all these wonderful female fighters.
But not to get lost in the sports aspect, like you're saying, and really have a good sense of, hey, this is one thing.
Yeah.
This is the totally different thing.
Did you get to watch Rose?
No,
that
I
was a
love
crazy-
Rose. When I saw that,
awesome.
I was like, ah! My boyfriend was like, what are you yelling about? I'm like,
she took that girl out.
I know, and Wei Li, she's a really
and Wei Li is
amazing fighter.
awesome. She's a real good fighter, and she was a champion. But Rose threw a leg right in that face, and she's like, "What do you mean I'm out?" She goes, "Yeah,
He
you
was
got
lost.
knocked
Yeah,
out,
you got knocked
girl."
out. Sorry.
Yeah,
I wanna rewatch that whole card. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, the other fights in there were really good too. There was a couple of surprise knockouts. The one guy who kicked the guy so hard and broke his leg at the shin.
Oh yeah, the Whiteman.
Oh, my God.
He broke his own leg.
Yeah, he
But
did.
you guys saw the memes because
Yeah.
I was watching that Anderson Silva fight when that happened
Yeah.
too. When he did that,
Yeah.
when that happened to Anderson and he was fighting Anderson, I was like, ooh! And then I see the meme, I was like, ah!
It was nuts.
He stepped on it.
Yeah.
He stepped on that foot. He put weight on it.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, there was a lot. That happened twice in that match where the other guy hurt got kicked in the back of the leg, and his leg just buckled under him, and that was weird too.
Yeah.
So the thing about sports, and those are the things that you can't predict. Even when we play, right? We always try to tell you, oh, hey, be gentle, whatever, and
I just hit him in the hand earlier today.
it's like. It's things that you just don't realize, because we do play hard. I mean, and what you do, right? You got to do the moves, because if you only do them half-assed, they don't work.
And There's like a way we can ramp that up too, because generally you're not going to be playing at the same or training at the same intensity as an actual encounter.
Right.
So you might start off light because you're tired and you're just warming up to it, and then you guys build up the intensity. Maybe one day you're a little bit more competitive. So even in the training aspect, it's never gonna be like 100% real. But and then also, I don't think that it's smart or helpful to throw somebody like way into deep water when they're not ready for it. So you have to strategically ramp up.
Right. It's like go hard all the time. Your body's gonna break.
Or somebody who is just new to it and they're not used to it.
You got to build up to it for sure.
Exactly, build up.
Because even when we play, right, you'll see us real hitting, we're going, and I always say, okay, let's go light. And invariably, this guy just starts going heavier and heavier and heavier. And you have to stay with that, though. When the other guy goes